For over more than 10 years, a lot of people have asked me to give a tutorial on how to build a record lathe like mine. So here we are. In this video I will strip down the parts of the machine and show you how I built it. The old one was mostly made from parts I found on the streets, compared to the new lathe I'm currently building, which is completely built from scratch. If you like my content, feel free to support me via PayPal.me. The machine is made out of 3 sections: the turntable on one side, the controls on the other side, and the feed unit as a carriage with the embossing head in the center. To give you a useful overview, let us go through the components in detail. On top of a wooden frame sits the old direct drive turntable. A fiberboard plate and a 50mm CD adapter sit on top. 2 boxes houses the feed unit controls and the audio amp. The head is connected to a rocker that is hung from a sled. A lowering handle and a transport lock can be reached from the top. The counterweight balances the rocker so the head reaches around 100 grams of force. The feed unit is placed across the turntable. 2 rods will guide the sled that is pulled by a stepper motor and a belt. Most of the feed unit parts are taken out of an old printer. To control the feed unit, I designed a panel with 4 buttons. Let us have a look at what is underneath that cover. Cables are still in the same unsorted mixture as like 10 years ago. Looks quite messy, but it's actually just a stepper driver, an Arduino Uno and 4 buttons. The overall layout should look something like this. With Claude it should be an absolutely no-brainer to get the code written correctly. The 4 buttons on the panel control the feed unit. At the bottom left is a switch that lets you toggle between slow or fast feed movement, so the grooves don't overlap into each other. As long as you hold the push button here, you are moving fast forward with the sled. The next button is for switching between inward and outward movement. And the last one starts or stops the feed unit. I used the original button for changing between the 2 speeds of the turntable. To start the rotation of the platter, I lift up the original turntable arm that functions as a button. The counterweight can be shifted along the rod for fine tuning. The weights are just cheap steel angle brackets. The rocker is hung under the sled using roller ball bearings. A stick with a little arm can be opened or locked in place as a transport lock system. To lower the head, at first the lock system gets opened and then the arm with the leather band is guided slowly downwards by hand. Except for the stepper motor, all other parts of the feed unit are taken from a printer I found on the street. All the pulleys, the gears and the belts. A cable from the stepper connects down to the control panel. The belt is clamped on top of the sled. I did not install any end stops, so you always have to watch with one eye to see if the motor is still running or it will collide. The substructure frame is held in the correct position relative to the turntable with 2 large screws. This bridge is like a module on its own. Here again you can see some details of the mechanics and handles I built. Most importantly, the 2 audio cables should be connected to the head without putting any mechanical push or pull force on the system. The phases for both speakers are reversed, otherwise you will cancel out your stylus movement. The cutter head, or to be correct, the embossing head, is the most fragile part. 2 3D printed cones are glued onto the membranes and hold an aluminum tube in the center. A flat spring at the end gives enough flexibility but still guides the tube close along the center without drifting away. I use 1.6mm tungsten rod as an embossing stylus. That material is hard enough to press a groove into the blanks. The first version was a crappy build. The stylus holder was too bulky and had too much mass. Four years later, I came up with a much cleaner layout, simpler stylus holder and lighter struts. And zoomed in under the microscope, it is clear to see the quality of the grooves being embossed. On top of the center pin of the platter sits an adapter to get the 50mm CD hole centered on the table. The fiber board gives better resistance against the downward pressure of the embossing head. The lathe itself is a direct drive turntable from the scrapyard. As long as it turns, it does the trick. 4 bouncy legs placed atop the wooden frame. Let's open the panel of the amp. Here I took apart a cheap old stereo PC speaker. I separated the amplifier, transformer and audio jacks and placed them inside the panel. I was too lazy to install proper Vago clamps, so I just installed a power extension cord. First, prepare your audio file by EQing a reverse RIA curve and then normalize the volume of your file. Place the slightly heated disc on your platter and fasten it with tape. Start the turntable and set your speed. Move the embossing head to the start position on the outer rim of the disc. Unlock the transport system and slowly drop the head on the disc. While doing this, press the start button to get the feed unit motor moving forward. For the runner groove, just push the fast forward button and then stop the machine. Lift the head, secure the transport lock. Check your grooves ideally under a microscope, glue a label onto the center so your CD can fit on any turntable, and enjoy your homemade record.